Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for round 21 of the ARC Formula 1 Championship. For this round, it's the United States Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas, this personal nightmare of a racetrack, if you ask me, but luckily I'm not the one that has to drive on it. These guys are. Let's have the ever-present audio bugs, because physical pain, so you just get used to it after a while, you know. I was on board with Nathan Carr because he will be the first to begin a hot lap in this session, by some margin, no less. Head into the first uphill braking zone, so you gotta brake. You can brake later than you expect, down the hill to the right. And then you have these weird fake Meggetts and Beckett's S section. Most of the curves here will automatically spin you out. A slow crawl up the hill, and as we've just discovered, those curbs will in fact spin you out. So we'll instead ride on board with Mackie De Jong, as he does the rest of the lap, as he managed to not spin in that S section. Down the hill into the second triangle corner. Circuit of the Americas feels less like a racetrack and more like a not a geology class, like the kind of class you take for shapes. The word's escaping me at the moment. I kind of feel like an idiot. Anyway, into the third triangular hairpin. Corner cutting seems unusually lenient in that corner, so you can hit as much of that curb as you feel like. Into a fourth and then a fifth trail braking hairpin. And then we hit the triple apex corners, which it's trying to imitate some older racetrack that everyone doesn't use anymore. Geometry, that's the word I was looking for. And then one more triangular hairpin to complete the lap. This track is a nightmare for rear tires, and it's very plain to see why that is, with all these low-speed exits. On the mediums, Mikey De Jong runs the... Never mind. On the mediums, Cameron Dowds runs the provisional fastest... Never mind. On the mediums, Lee Kelly runs the fastest qualifying session of the first... Never mind. Charlie Congdon, on the soft tires, runs a 30.76, and is currently the fastest in the session. And the other medium runners are all in the 31s. There's a car off in Sector 3. That was just Luke Trullo getting out of the way, I assume. Because he abandoned his ongoing lap. Matthew Stotts also struggles to find the pit lane. Jonathan Parker is wasting 0 time qualifying today. In contrast to the previous weekend, where he didn't qualify until the last possible minute. Up to the ambiguous braking zone, where I have no doubt we'll see some interesting braking points being used to create overtakes. And that's an invalidation before we even reach stay in Sector 1. So, well, no, Connor Hannick's also on an invalid lap, so... We'll instead ride with, what is this, your 4th new username, Liam? Give it a rest. This is Liam Craig, as much as you probably couldn't tell, because he's changed his name more times than I've changed the curtains on my shower in the last 5 years. That's an invalid lap, and that's an invalid lap. Yeah, the S's will do that. If you don't hit a curb and spin, you hit a curb and invalidate your lap. Or sometimes both, because this game likes to point and laugh at your misery. There's an off in Sector 3, that's just, it's Adams and Pacheco near each other on the track. Pacheco's still not wanting to do his lap, but Tristan Adams is going to go on with it. So we shall ride on board with him for the time being. Connor Setchell is a reserve driver today, as There usually are a lot of those. And he ran a 31.9 on the soft tires, so his pace is... Well, I mean, it's obviously not AF1 pace, because he's an AF2 driver. That's how it should be. Adams has survived the S section. He is now on his way through Sector 2, onto the DRS straightaway in a moment. There's a little beep that was not made at all, but here we are. Here's another corner with a bit of an ambiguous braking zone. It's supposed to be the 100, but you can definitely make the 50 work if you're enough of a maniac. To the double apex hairpin, to the trail brake hairpin. It's like a smorgasbord of hairpins. And we have, of course, the triple apex. Downhill left, where IndyCar had no track limits, but we do. And then the last turn to complete your hot lap. And he is on the medium tire. He runs a 31.4 right in between the two Alpine drivers. Excuse me, I had a cough there. Connor Setchell's still on the track, curiously, but he's not running a hot lap by any means. Jonathan Parker is not doing another lap. But Nathan Carr is, so we'll ride on board with him as he completes his lap. Couldn't use much more of the racetrack through there. We're there, and he will run a 30.6. He tops the board with that soft tire lap. Of course, we have Lee Kelly, Charlie Congdon, and Cameron Dowds all working their way around for their own soft tire lap. I gotta say that was like a fancy name or something. Soft tire lap. Like, this isn't a game show. Anyway, so Lee Kelly will be the first of them to begin. Obviously, and also meanwhile, Tristan Adams and Liam Carrig run just about identical laps on their own medium tire runs. Mikey de Jong is also on an out lap. I keep going back and forth between Zhang or Young. I don't know why. Dowds also begins his. So we've got like pretty much all of the heavy hitters are starting their first soft tire lap at pretty much the same time. Oh! Some failed team orders there. I'm not sure if that did some wing damage or what have you. Certainly driving like it is. That is... Well, you'll get another try at it, Lee. And it made for good comedy. Anyway. Charlie Congdon will instead be the first to complete the real hot lap on the soft tires. He was already on them before, though, so... He would have to really develop his lap time to be, like a major significant gain. And he will manage to do precisely that. Gain half a second, run a 30.28, and top the board. But let's see what the Alpine group has to say about that. Mikey de Jong, there it is again, heads through the last turn. Never mind. Luke Trillo ran a 30.6. That was faster than Mikey managed. Cameron Dowds runs a 30.5. Still could not touch the Red Bull driver though. Matthew Stotts has just retired in the S's, so he probably found one of the go die curbs. Now there's really not much else to look at. There's nobody really on a lap yet. We have two outlaps about to begin with Jonathan Parker and Connor Hannock. Kyler Boggs with that absolutely storming minute 56 lap time. I'm not really sure what happened there. Excuse me. We do have Christian Pacheco on a lap. Well, it's invalid, but it is a lap, in quotations. Connor Hannick exits the last turn. He will begin his, I think this would be his second attempt at running a qualifying lap. He's got some traffic up ahead. I believe that must be Liam Craig in the way. Well, he's no longer in the way. And the S's. You have to use all of the curbs to be fast, but don't use too much of them or you will instantly spin out. It's a delicate balance, and one that even after like 6 years of racing on this track, I could never manage to do that balance. And that's why I'm the commentator. Based on the lap data in the corner, Jonathan Parker is going a little faster than Hannick is managing up to this point. Through the triple apex. Hitting that curb is a bold move. Honestly, hitting any curb on this track is a bold move. Oh. Man, that was sketchy. But Connor Hannick will survive his car's desire to spin. We're into 32.3. Parker, on the other hand, did 30.6, threw off my entire leaderboard with that lap. Nathan Carr, among others, have just begun their next flying lap. I assume this to be their final flying lap of the session. I don't know if they'd get around in time to make another. I don't think they would, though. Had to cough again. My throat is a little dry, I guess. I'm not sure why. I had plenty to drink before starting this recording. Recording? Broadcast. I have a Mikey supporter, despite, you know, this being like the one place where the Americans have the home track advantage, and we have a supporter of Mikey De Jong instead in the chat. Admittedly, minus Johnny Parker, there's not much reason to be rooting for any Americans in the grid right now, because, minus him, the top's... yeah, well, the only Americans in this race actually are at the bottom three, and then Parker. As Nathan Carr completes his next lap with 30.3, so close to the Red Bull, but just cannot collect. 30.5 for Connor Suchel. Let's see what Liam Angelo Carrag manages on his next attempt. Kyler Boggs are in a 31.0, a little more representative than the minute 56 lap time from before. Liam Carrag absolutely demolishes anything else that was set previously, a 29.888 for him. Christian Pacheco, another outlap, still working on completing a lap that is valid. It's a struggle, especially on this track. I'm not really sure that's how that's supposed to work. I don't care if you're on a lap or not, I don't really think you're supposed to do that. Anyway, it appears Cameron Dodds is on an hot lap. Yes, on a hot lap. So we will ride on board with him as he actually gets up to the Red Bull driver up ahead on the back straightaway. That is not a Red Bull, that is a Mercedes. I am apparently blind, don't mind me. Some commentary record. He might be getting a slight draft from here, I don't know. That's Liam Angelo. He's obviously completed his lap. And he's just gonna go off to Neverland over there. That's not a track extension? What? Weird. Don't question. I guess don't question the ways of strict corner cutting. Connor Hannick has retired in the pit lane manually. There's Charlie Congdon off the racing line. Head through the triple apex. Will he be able to pose any threat to Liam's pole time? Last turn, locking up. And that's going to be a no. That's going to be a 30.25. So it's going to end up ahead of Charlie Congdon, who is doing that. I believe there's also a rule against intentionally wrecking yourself on the middle of the straightaway. Luke Truor has to deal with the dirty air of Christian Pacheco up ahead. And through the S's, that's not exactly a small task. It is a soft lap versus a medium lap, so Mikey De Jong is out of the session. Not really sure what's going on there. Parker's also leaving the session. That's retiring from the session for Kyler Boggs. And Trelor has been absolutely deposited by Christian Pacheco, who he seems to be lacking pace right now. Whoa. Alright, Mikey's back. Christian Pacheco is out. You see why I'm muting it now? I didn't even have a chance there. So Luke Truor finishes his lap. Around comes Cameron Dowds to finish. And Pacheco may not be able to start the race. Tristan Adams is on a hot lap. I just noticed that this is a hot lap. So he may yet improve. And he will do precisely, he gains an entire second, and I think that put him like 4th or 5th on the grid. Okay, so Christian is back. I'm pretty sure that means he will be on the grid. That was weird. We've had problems recently with people staying connected in league races. Our Project Cars GT3 race from Wednesday had a similar issue. And we had to, well, we all disconnected from the NASCAR race on Friday due to that game's authentication error, apparently. So yeah, there is your qualifying. I somehow completely missed in all of that Lee Kelly took pole away from Liam Carrig. I don't really know how I managed to do that. It's a wonder I haven't been fired yet. Honest to God. Well, some people say that me messing up commentary is half the humor. So, anyway. I'm sure as this fan's been running this whole time, it's probably been blowing straight into the mic and probably driving some people crazy. Let me turn that off. Sorry about that. The fan itself is quiet, so I hadn't really been thinking about it, but the air that it creates is not. Also, are we gonna like get past the screen anytime today, or like what's going on? There we go. I was trying to. It has to wait for Kyler specifically to press something. Since he is the host today, AJ Knickel away on this particular occasion, I believe for birthday festivities, so happy birthday to him. Christian Pacheco has left the session once again. And now he's definitely going to miss the starting grid. Christian is back. I don't know if that's in time, though. He might end up not in the race. Moment of truth. I can't tell from this angle. Oh, he is there. Nope, he's an AI. Who's blowing up here? It wasn't just me, right? It looked like somebody's engine expired. Wasn't that some fancy camera work? My God. All these wide shots are great when the cars aren't going so fast, but once we start to get into racing, I hope the cameras are a little more dynamic. Because there isn't much sense of speed from a camera this far out. As the formation lap is almost at its conclusion, I shall get the things on the screen that aren't currently on the screen. Only Connor Hannock has elected to start this race on the medium tires. That's interesting. My God, my coughing will not stop. As all of the cars are arranged in their grid positions. And the 5 red lights are lit. And they're gone, and we are green from the United States GP. Christian Pacheco is still a ghost car, so he did not gain control of the vehicle. We're going to be maybe wide. No, they're going to be 3 wide for 3rd behind, and there's of course going to be contact because that's too many cars to fit into any one piece of tarmac. Some cars are going to be a bit too wide through the S's. That's always scary. The Red Bull backs out of that confrontation, but there's a Ferrari and a Merc too wide, and they are not backing out of anything. Liam Carrig easily leads them down through the end of the first sector. And they come down this hill here, and we'll get a better impression of what all is happening. There's an Alpine making a dive on an Alfa Romeo up ahead. I'm not sure. I think they're going to be at a dead heat going down the back straightaway. No DRS or anything, so this is just down to who got the better run, who's going to put more ERS, and who's running lower wings. They're still at a dead heat. They're still wheel to wheel through the braking zone. The Alfa Romeo has forced the Alpine a bit off the track. Now that Alpine has the inside lane, but that becomes the outside lane. But you can make the outside work at this particular hairpin if you're given the space. The space is just about given. I think that Red Bull just got loose out of the exit, and finally the Alpine will emerge ahead of the Alfa Romeo. And then the Alfa Romeo also loses that position to, I think that's his teammate that just passed him as well. And he has to dive down the pits. He received damage for something during that confrontation. And of course the intervals have a spaz attack. Trust me, that's not correct. So it was Lee Kelly that fought against Cameron Dowds and lost in more ways than one. Already, we have a time penalty for Nathan Carr through the S's, so that means he cut more than once on the first lap alone. Also in the pits, Jonathan Parker. But we have no DNFs and no major incidents that have halted the race in any way. So, yep, it seems as though now the running order is correct, so that's fixed itself a lot faster than usual. I will not lie. We have Christian's ghost car running 3 wide, because that makes perfect sense. He's currently inside Mikey De Jong's car. That AI is on a mission. I don't know for what for, but he is on a mission. You got loose like a player, though. Is there actually an AI driving that car? Or is it just a ghosted Christian? I can't tell. Is this the player? Is this Christian? Is this just real life? Is this fantasy? I cannot tell. That was weird. I don't think that's an AI. That's Christian. Yep, that's not an AI. He is now around. So I mean, quite a display of pace if he managed to do all that as an AI, as a player. But like, you're ghosted, so you just drove through everybody. I'm not really sure how we're gonna handle that in the mod team, but well, that's not even a contest. Mikey De Jong just screeches past the Ferrari. That's the running order. No, that's not the running order being wrong. That's another battle on the track between Boggs and Setchel, which has already fizzled out into nothing. The interval is a little bit bugged. Just gonna take that off my screen for the time being and just go off of instinct to the track map and my eyes. Because that generally seems to work better. DRS is obviously in play here now. My god, we've reached the 4th lap of the GP, so it's going to get even more hairy down these long straightaways. Long-ish straightaways, anyway. There's only so much you can do with DRS because you do typically run some decently high wings here for the S's. And pretty much only the S's. Honest to god, if this track didn't have those S's, this would be a low downforce track with just like 6 or 7 hairpins. Nathan Carr got right up to the back of the Alpine, but just about ran into it, actually. Is the interval fixed? Yes. Okay. We're going to have combat into the backstretch chicane? Hairpin, excuse me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Nathan Carr will easily muscle his way ahead of the Alpine and into 2nd place. He will attempt to be snappy with catching up to Liam Carrig, who is only about a second or so up the road, but bear in mind that Nathan already has a time penalty this early on in the race. You have somebody off or around in Sector 3. I have reason to believe it's Matthew Stotts, who has spun where are we? Oh, he's on the exit of the second to last turn. Also Connor Hannock, who spun in the Triple Apex right-handers. And in a seemingly unrelated thing, Setchel and Congdon were too wide for a moment. Congdon, I think, just kind of backed out because you don't really go too wide through the S's. Oh, man. Got right up to his little flashing light on the back of that Mercedes, though. And Kyler Boggs is in catbird seat on this battle for P6. If these two engage in battle into the next hairpin, Kyler Boggs will be in a prime position to take advantage. Which, of course, they're going to do that. Setchel just lets it go. There's no point in even trying to test anything yet. We're only on lap 5. Yellow in Sector 1. It might have been Connor Hennick again, but there's no immediate evidence that he actually spun around. Nathan Carr has quickly caught up to the Mercedes of Liam up ahead. Bit of a scare through the second to last turn, but he's definitely filling his wing mirrors now. Carr dives to the pit wall, just about, trying to break the slipstream. Nathan Carr isn't even interested in doing that. He's only interested in the back straightaway, or forcing him into a mistake in the upcoming S section. But Dirty Air's always got a role to play, and it might end up with him in the outside barrier if he's not careful. And of course, if anything happens between these lead pair, Cameron Dowds is no longer there. He does keep it off the wall, though. Nathan Carr will use DRS and will very easily outdrag that Mercedes. Not even a question about that. I don't know what is happening here. I thought I was having to keep muting the microphone, but I keep coughing. Asthma is apparently coming into play or something. I don't know what on earth. It's not fun, I'll tell you that. As Boggs just kind of lies in wait behind Connor Setchel. They're both starting to lose time to the Red Bull up ahead, who recently passed Connor Setchel. Cameron Dowds is into the pits, probably because he wore out his soft tires trying to lock it down and keep it off the barrier. Excuse me. I swear, I've even got a drink next to me, it's not helping. Dowds puts the hard tires. Those can probably go to the end. I assume he knows what he's doing. And Liam will have a shot to maybe take this position back from Nathan Carr, but he's not really using his DRS, otherwise he would have had an easy shot at it, so he's just kind of waiting. Behind this, Tristan Adams is all over Mikey DeJong's diffuser, but not putting any immediate pressure on him in the same way that Liam is on Nathan. Of course, Liam doesn't really have to force the issue a ton with Nathan at the moment, he just has to stay near. Since Nathan already has the aforementioned time penalty, he would inherit the win just by being in proximity, and he's gained another. So this would literally put him in a net P4 at the moment, after that penalty, because it's only about 2 seconds between first and fourth. Kyler Boggs is catching up to Connor Setchel. Will he have a go at it? He does not just yet. Meanwhile, in the back, we have the Haas cars behind the ghost of Christian Pacheco's past. Connor Hennick is around once more. Nathan getting a little bit friendly with the outside curbs on the exit of the S's. And now we've got a proper DRS train going between the top 4 cars. Feels like I'm in career mode all over again, except, you know, there's an Alpine and an Alfa Romeo up here with the Mercedes and the Ferrari. two of these things just don't belong here, at least in terms of career mode. They definitely belong up here in Ark, but not in real life. Kyler Boggs is really there, and Connor Hannock has just driven to the pits and retired. Based on where he was on track, I'm not exactly going to blame him for that. He's probably got better things to do, like sleep right about now. Admittedly, minus a couple of the, people of interest, the penalties have been pretty minimal up to this point. We've reached the about third way mark, and only one car of the lead pack has a penalty is. Meanwhile, I just missed Satchel being overtaken by Kyler Boggs down through turn 1, and turn 2 is Satchel just kind of, I assume, backed out of it to avoid a crash. Those two butted heads many times, so they got this one clean, much to my personal surprise. Some finicky business going on in the back between the Haas cars and Christian, who is very much a player. It just doesn't... Stotts is spinning. He's not winning, but he is definitely spinning. The top four is still under that proverbial blanket, not separating for much of anything. The pit cycle might change things around, but since they're all on the same team, I don't really foresee that changing anything here. Bit of a lock-up from Adams. All four of them just seem intent on waiting. Again, further reinforcing, this looks like a career mode race, not an Ark race. Kyler Boggs, little by little, is catching back up to the Red Bull that overtook him before his soft tires. He must not be wearing them as much, despite the fact that he had to try and push to overtake Connor Setchel. That, or Charlie's just taking it easy because he had a gap before, and that gap is now beginning to dwindle. There will not be DRS on this particular occasion. Matthew Stotts is driven into the pits and retired. But I get the impression that it won't be long before Kyler Boggs does have aforementioned DRS, and then things get really interesting. I would anticipate that these, all these soft tire runners that have not had incidents up to this point will be coming in the next lap or two. If softs have gone this far, you can probably take the mediums to the end from here. We don't have any takers though, not on the front four. So I'd have to assume you'd think somebody would try. What? Huh? Is this just a racing game curse or something? Okay, so this time I've lagged out, I guess. I just checked the invites and nothing happened. Like, I really don't know what the problem here is. I'm beginning to wonder if there's not a common denominator here. I had previously mentioned the Project Cars 2 race that got disrupted by people lagging out initially. That was resolved and you were able to do the race normally. But initially, there was a big lag conniption between 3 of the drivers. Then we had the NASCAR race, which half the field lagged out before we completed stage 2. And even before that, the game was having login errors for authenticating user profiles that tried to connect to the game's servers. And now this, which I'm not really getting any confirmation as to who exactly this is affected, except for me and Kyler, but okay, so Kyler has lagged out of his own session, and it drug me with him. This is inconvenient, because I can't use the invite from beforehand. I don't think Kyler realizes that I cannot re-invite him. I'm not in the session either. He lagged out and took me with him. Like, I don't even know how that happens. Oh, I can't type. I'm not gonna say that this is Kyler's fault. I'm just saying Kyler was in all three of the disrupted races. And there is no other person that was in all three races besides me and him. So unless this is somehow me, which would really piss me off because I'm sitting right next to my router with my average 36 ping to American servers, and funny thing, Kyler is in America, probably closer to me than anybody else in ARC. So it seems no one has responded to me asking them to invite me because I've been kicked out of the race. Okay, so now now it's hearing that Christian Pacheco had the same thing. And I'm getting deja vu. So foreseeably, I guess that'll be the end of this broadcast. I think we'll be, it appears we'll be running the United States Grand Prix at some point. But again, I'm definitely getting deja vu.